we've got a bunch of people talking about the Ryzen 7 9800X3D. Will has produced our text review. Because of the PlayStation 5 Professional, I'm late with the video review, so apologies for that. But what can I say? When Ryzen 9000 arrived, it wasn't particularly impressive. I wasn't expecting that much from the 9800X3D, maybe a notional sort of single digit percentage rise. All I can say about this particular CPU is that some of the results are like 18% faster than the 7800X3D. This is a phenomenal product. This is a Halo product. This is like AMD at its best. You know, they already had the market leading gaming CPU, and they've beaten it, sometimes by a significant degree. Some of the benchmarks that we've had they were literally so good that I had to go back to Will and ask him to re-bench the 7800X3D in case our results were not good there. It's seriously impressive. It's phenomenal. Anyway, the questions. Let's kick off with this one from Diego El Rey. Hello, DF. With the arrival of the 9800X3D and the very positive reviews that it is indeed the best new gaming CPU, will that become the CPU used for high-end PC gaming benchmarks? Well, this is interesting, Alex, because Gamescom 2023, we basically said to AMD, give us a 7800X3D because we'd like to use it. So now we've kind of got to go back, cap in hand, asking them.
Yeah.
And similarly for our GPU reviews that are coming up, I think we do need to move to this CPU, but it is looking phenomenal, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, I would love to drop a 9800X3D in my system for it. Also, I actually think it should be done at some point in time, just generally, because it would be good to do actually probably an in-depth look at pain points on PC on the 7800X3D versus the 9800X3D that you did mention last week, Rich. I think, or was it the week before this? Maybe it was last week, about potential like the 0.1% lows or the 1% lows differences between the X3D processors. You mentioned that, as well as I'm actually curious about, because a lot of reviews did point at better 1% lows or 0.1% lows versus the previous X3D chips, which were also in line with Intel too. So it wasn't like something that seemed particularly bad there. But if this is due to better Ryzen interconnect, better usage of, I don't know, of that 3D cache, maybe I've kind of felt this way for a while now, that our CPUs are fast enough, but our memory situation is not great, like the latency to memory. And maybe cache is our good stepping point there to get our CPUs faster. And if this is pointing that direction, it could be a way. It's not, I would never say buy yourself out of problematic PC ports, but more cache, faster cache, closer to the CPU core could actually be a good way eventually to get around some of the more stuttery PC ports in the future. And I think that is actually an interesting way to look at this new product, because I think the extra 18% frames that when you're at 200 FPS aren't so sweet. I don't care, actually, but I'm actually more interested in those situations where we are really having problems with software, and what can we do hardware wise to get around that. I would rather a game be patched, but if we can eventually in the future get around that with better hardware, I'm all for it as well too, come at from different sides. So if I did drop this on my PC, I would really be looking at the worst ports completely and looking at those frame times and their stability. Yeah, because that's what I really want to be better on PC always.
Yeah. Shader comp stutter as well.
Yeah, shader comp stutter. I would also see like the difference between, if it's literally half like the size, that's an incredible win or something like that. I don't know what it'll be. I would have yet to test it. I'm also very curious about memory latency testing. I saw a little bit of that, seemed to still have its sweet spot around 6,000, but it had greater memory stability, I think, overall on the boards in comparison to 7800X3D. So you could actually drop like higher memory in there, as far as I know. I think it's a great product, and my goodness, AMD has just completely owned Intel so hard it is hard to even imagine what you would recommend Intel for now if you're looking at the high end.
Bonage.
It's really, that pure bonage there. I'm excited for the future of whatever this means. Also, how it scales down. I would love to see smaller X3D chips like we saw with the 5000 series coming down the line, right? That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I think the mark of basically domination is when you already have the Halo product and then you comprehensively beat the Halo product with your next one.
Right.
This is kind of like what we were kind of expecting with the 5090 versus the 4090. And if AMD are doing that in the CPU space, particularly at a time where CPU performance is so important, that's like mega. That's really cool. The next question from some guy person, again, 9800 X3D related. Looking at just how good all the X3D AMD CPUs are now, how likely do you think the PS6 will have an X3D cache die bonded to the SoC? If that does indeed come to pass, how could Intel respond when all next-gen games are designed to target a CPU with mountains of cache? It's a lovely thought, but silicon die area is like a massive cost center for console production. And just like having a massive slab of cache memory doesn't really make sense in a console design. It just doesn't really work. So I'm not expecting that to happen at all, as fun as it might possibly be. And to be honest, if you've got like a fixed piece of hardware, like a console that developers can directly target, I really think they need to be working better on cache optimization with the cache they actually have within that processor, as opposed to just saying, okay, right, forget all of that. We're just going to swap in and out of system memory. That's really bad. So it's bad practice, basically. Final question, actually, from T-Money58. Time to move on to 9800 X3D. Alex and John, with respect to the PlayStation 5 Professional, AMD just released the most impressive piece of gaming hardware all year, right? John, that's an interesting question because we've been talking about this in the past, about you potentially moving from Intel to AMD. I think the issue with the 9800 X3D is that it's only got 8 cores, and I guess it's all going to be down to the 9950 X3D as and when that appears.
Correct, yeah. I mean, I'm still kind of hanging on to this 12900K for now, but Intel is not really providing a lot of avenues for upgrades, I feel. And I mean, that's fair to say, right? Like, you look at the current stack of offerings and it's just not where it should be. It's not what you'd expect. AMD is ahead. I haven't had an AMD CPU since basically about 1999. I got a K6 in 97 and I used that for a couple of years. And then I was so disappointed in it that I went to Intel and never looked back.
You would have been.
It was just because floating point performance.
K6.
But it's such a different generation, right? It has nothing to do with the current thing, but no, that's just
I'm kind of amused.
It just stuck in my head.
It's the bulldozer of its day, let's just say.
I'm just kind of amused that the whole Ryzen revolution is just something that's happened to everybody else.
Yeah. But congrats, Intel.
Alex,
you finally convinced me to say, all right, maybe it's time to give AMD another shot.
Brutal.
Alex, what are your thoughts about this? I mean, I was seriously considering, because the processor came out yesterday, and I was seriously considering buying a 9800 X3D. And the only thing that's stopping me from buying one is the 9950 X3D.
Because isn't that supposed to maybe be dual cache?
That's the rumor that each of the chiplets,
which would be the holy grail CPU. Yeah.
Because there's already apparently in the productivity benchmarks for the 9800 X3D big gains there. So, combine that with 16 cores, and holy crap, I'm there day one.
Yeah, that would be an amazing processor. Complete overkill for most games. I think most games are still barely, or not using 8 threads even, or 16 threads. Sorry. As well as they arguably should. I think there's still going to be a sweet spot there. I do think it is very much so. Most people who have a 7800 X3D should not upgrade. Don't be don't take our hyping this product here as like some sort of ringing endorsement. If you have like a 7800 X3D that you should be upgrading or something like that, you probably won't notice too much. But I think this is just another phenomenal thing from AMD. My goodness, the question though, I do kind of want to go back to the console thing for the future, because I'm very curious about what we see there in the future, because on the AMD, both sides of the equation, CPU and GPU, they've been leaning into cache to accelerate their performance and get them to where they are. And that is not a very friendly thing for console development. There, especially with an SoC, because the GPU is also going to be taking up a large amount of space there. In fact, it's quite a bit larger than the CPU always, right? So yeah, I don't know exactly how AMD accelerates the performance of their SoCs in the near future, if not via cache. I'm very curious to see what they come up in that area in the future to make it worthwhile, because I think looking at the PS5 Pro and all we've seen so far, I am wondering if it is very heavily bandwidth bound. And as a result of that, it's not getting like all the juice it wants. And that's something AMD on the desktop side of things for its GPUs has been taking care of by using cache. So yeah, I'm very curious about what the future of design on AMD is for their SoCs if it's not, more cache. I'm curious to see how they get around bottlenecks there, cache money.
At some point, the consoles are probably going to have to move to a chiplet configuration, which again may present opportunities there.
It might,
simply in keeping things affordable.